Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to picture someone for a second. You know that person you might spot sitting completely alone in a busy cafe, just looking perfectly content with their thoughts and like a cup of coffee? Or maybe it's that friend who constantly turns down loud party invites for a quiet night in. Well, for the longest time, society has been super quick to point a finger at these folks and slap on a label. We call them lonely, or antisocial, or, let's be honest, maybe even a little bit strange. But what if I told you that our entire cultural perception of solitude is completely backwards?
So are they lonely or highly evolved? Let's dive right in and totally disrupt the status quo here. Because when we actually look at the psychology behind this behavior, the data reveals something absolutely fascinating. People who genuinely seek out and enjoy solitude, they aren't running away from the world at all. Actually, they're finally waking up from it. They possess a highly evolved mind that operates on a level most people never even notice. It's not about isolation, it's about mastery.
Society and psychology literally tell two completely different stories. If you're someone who finds genuine peace in your own company, you need to know that you are trading in those negative societal labels, like antisocial or lonely, for actual, profound psychological growth. You aren't strange. You're simply wired for growth. Today, we're going to decode the 7 rare traits of people who thrive in solitude, and we'll see exactly why their preference for being alone is, frankly, a massive psychological advantage.
Section 1. The Mind, Deep Processing and Creation. Let's start our journey right at the physical mechanics of the brain itself and see how highly intelligent people actually use silence as a strict form of mental training.
We're talking about the incubation effect. Well, actually, let me slow down our pacing here for just a second to really lean into the science. When you step away from the constant noise of phones, the endless notifications, and all that social input, your brain enters what psychologists call deep processing mode. This is the psychological reality that your absolute best ideas, your deepest reflections, and your sharpest creative insights only surface after you disconnect from external stimulation. By actively choosing to spend time alone, these highly intelligent individuals are making a brilliant trade. They are trading endless, shallow consumption for deep, meaningful creation.
It all comes down to cognitive bandwidth. Think of it like a giant puzzle, and our brains have a strictly limited amount of pieces to work with. Every single scroll on social media, every notification that pings, every piece of small talk, it all demands a slice of your mental focus. Highly self-aware individuals absolutely recognize this limit. They realize they can either blow their bandwidth on constant social interaction, or they can reallocate that precious focus toward things that actually compound over time. Things like deep learning, thinking, and building.
Constant social interaction is mentally expensive. Just let that sink in for a moment. Treating your mental energy as your single most valuable asset is, quite frankly, the ultimate flex of intelligence. When you choose solitude, you're basically refusing to go bankrupt on meaningless interactions. You are protecting your cognitive wealth. Section 2. Identity, Unshakable Self-Awareness. Moving outward from the raw mechanics of cognitive bandwidth, protecting that mental energy builds a truly bulletproof identity.
Let's talk about self-concept clarity. True, stable happiness comes entirely from within, right? People who spend more time alone often possess this incredible trait because they aren't spending their days constantly measuring their own worth against other people's highly curated highlight reels on the internet. They develop a crystal clear understanding of their own values and goals. Their sense of self doesn't fluctuate based on how the crowd reacts to them today. It's just a deeply stable, grounded force.
On one side, you have external validation, the exhausting, never-ending need to be seen, chasing likes, comments, and public recognition. It's draining. But on the other side is one of the rarest traits of all, an internal locus of evaluation. This is the superpower of self-validation. It means you judge yourself by your own strict standards, not the shifting, fickle opinions of everyone else. You don't need to announce your life to feel important. Your identity remains completely stable and powerful, even when absolutely nobody is watching.
So synthesizing everything we've covered gives us a really complete psychological profile. Internal mechanics, like deep processing, self-concept clarity, internal evaluation, and protecting cognitive bandwidth, they directly dictate our external boundaries. They determine exactly how we enforce selective organization, high privacy, and psychological detachment. Solitude doesn't just transform your internal mind, it absolutely builds the entire architecture of your external reality.
Which brings us to Section 3. Boundaries, Protecting Mental Energy. Because once you build an unshakable identity, you've got to defend it physically and digitally.
And this is a really great example of selective organization. You might walk into the office of someone who loves solitude and see a physical desk that looks like a paper tornado just hit it. We're talking stacks of notes, 3 half-empty coffee mugs, the whole shebang. But if you look at their digital world, their files, work systems, and ideas are perfectly, almost obsessively structured. What looks like a mess to the outside world is actually extreme mental efficiency. They've simply decided that putting energy into the social performance of a spotless desk just isn't worth it. They ignore the surface-level stuff to focus entirely on the complex patterns and ideas that most other people just completely miss.
This efficiency extends directly into a high-privacy orientation. If this sounds like you, let me just validate your approach right now. Keeping a low profile isn't hiding. No, it is an intentional, disciplined practice of digital minimalism. In a world totally addicted to oversharing every tiny detail of life, you understand that not everything deserves an audience. You value your psychological safety way more than digital exposure, and you intrinsically know that keeping a little mystery, that's a source of immense power. You're simply protecting your mental space.
Section 4. Emotional Mastery. The Power of Detachment. We have reached the climax of this psychological journey.
All of these traits culminate in psychological detachment. This is one of the most advanced signs of emotional intelligence you can possibly find. It's the ability to completely disconnect from social validation without a single drop of resentment, bitterness, or anger. See, when a highly intelligent person chooses to be alone, they aren't doing it because they're mad at the world. It stems from a profound, peaceful awareness. It lets them step completely off that exhausting roller coaster of toxic highs and crashes that come with needing social validation, allowing them to stay perfectly mentally balanced.
Ultimately, silence is greater than a story post. Your piece absolutely does not require visibility. In fact, a highly evolved mind knows that silence can be far louder, far more profound, and honestly far more impactful than any public announcement they could ever make to the internet.
Your solitude is not a weakness. It is your recovery mode. I want to deliver this final thought directly to you. If you are someone who genuinely enjoys being alone, do not ever let the world tell you that you're missing out. You are carrying a mind that rarely rests, and a spirit that absolutely does not need a glowing screen to feel complete. Your solitude isn't a weakness. It's your recovery mode. It is exactly where you process, create, and grow.
Are you ready to decode your own mind? That is the final lingering question I want to leave you with. I really hope this explainer has shown you the hidden power behind your need for solitude. If you want to continue understanding the fascinating psychology behind your intelligence and personality, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we don't just watch behavior here. We decode the brilliant minds that most people never even notice. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and I'll see you in the next explainer.